Hello, I'm doing a movie review, and the movie I want to review is, now all this week I have been reviewing movies based on the book Dracula by Bram Stoker, but this next movie I picked out to review, is not technically a Dracula movie because the vampire in this movie is not called Dracula, but, and this is not based on the book Dracula by Bram Stoker, but I decided to review this movie, even though it's not technically a Dracula movie. I decided to review it only because this movie was definitely inspired by Dracula, and that movie is Salem's Lot. Now, Salem's Lot is a 1979 made-for-TV movie, and this is actually directed by Tobe Hooper, who before this directed the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Now, this movie is based on a book by Stephen King, and I have read the book, and I already did a review for the book. I did the review for the book almost a year ago, but you could go check that review out if you want. If you want to know like some of my opinions on the book, go check out that review. If you look on my videos, eventually you'll find it. But this review is going to be on the movie Salem's Lot. Now, the reason I decided to review this movie is because Stephen King has actually said that that Salem's Lot, the book, was actually his tribute to Dracula, and if you read the book Salem's Lot, and if you read Dracula, you would notice that there are a lot of parallels between Salem's Lot and Dracula, and Stephen King has said that he got the idea for Salem's Lot from Dracula. So the reason I decided to review this movie is because this movie is based on a book which was inspired by Dracula. So in that sense, you can consider it to be a Dracula film in a way, because this was definitely inspired by Dracula. Now, like I said, I have read the book, and I've already done a review for the book, so you could go check that out if you want. But the movie Salem's Lot is actually quite different from the book. But basically, Salem's Lot is about an author named Ben Mears who comes to this small town in Maine called Jerusalem's Lot, or Salem's Lot as the locals call it. And what happens is he comes to the town to write a book about a haunted house in the town, which he had an experience in when he was a child, because he used to live in Salem's Lot for a few years when he was a child. But what happens is when he comes to the town, he finds out that this haunted house has been sold and has been brought by this antique shop owner named Richard Stryker. And what happens is throughout the movie, you soon discover that Richard Stryker is actually the human servant of a vampire named Kurt Barlow. And basically what happens in the movie is Ben Mears and a few other characters now have to try to hunt down and destroy Barlow. That's the basic plot line of the movie, but this does change a lot from the book, like, because in the book, because this movie, leaves out characters who were in the book. In the book, there was a character named Jimmy, who, was a character I actually really liked from the book, but that character is not in the movie. And also, one major difference between this and, the book is, Barlow himself, because in the book, Barlow looked and talked like a regular human, but in the movie, Barlow is basically just a monster. That's him on the back there. Barlow is he can't talk. He's basically just a monster, basically, which is really the complete opposite of what he was like in the book. Now, a lot of fans of the book have complained about Barlow in this movie, but I'm not gonna lie, I actually liked Barlow in this movie. Now, of course, it doesn't do justice to the way Barlow was in the book, but I kind of liked how they gave Barlow the, kind of like the Count Orlok look, and, you know, I kind of liked what they did with that. Now, my only real complaint about this movie is, in the book, there was a character named Father Callahan, who was actually my favorite character from the book. Now, Father Callahan is in this movie, but they really don't do the character of Father Callahan a justice, because in the book, Callahan was one of the main characters. In this movie, he's really only a minor character, so that's one thing I did not like about this movie, is how they really underused the character of Father Callahan, and also the character of Father Callahan would actually go on to be in other books by Stephen King, but obviously when they made this movie they didn't realize how important the character of Father Callahan would become in some of Stephen King's later books. But yeah, I would definitely recommend Salem's Lot if you're a fan of made-for-TV movies from the 70s. You know, and this movie does, one thing I do like about this is, this movie does definitely pay tribute to a lot of, like, Dracula movies. Like, you can definitely tell, like, this movie does have somewhat of a similar feel to Dracula, to some of the Hammer Dracula films, or at least I felt like it had somewhat of a similar feel to those. You know, so I definitely recommend the movie, even though it doesn't really do justice to the book. I still think it's a pretty good movie for a made-for-TV movie. So yeah, that's my review on Salem's Lot. I know it's not technically a Dracula movie, and all this week I'm reviewing different Dracula movies, and I decided to review that because even though it's not technically a Dracula movie, it still was inspired by Dracula, so I just wanted to talk about this movie. So yeah, that's my review on Salem's Lot, and bye.